I'm Justin Bonds from Cyber Capital here at Bitcoin Wednesday, and I'm speaking with Neeraj from Bluzelle, who are building a decentralized storage solution for anyone who needs a decentralized storage solution, and also dApps. I want to welcome you here in Amsterdam, and it's great for you to be here, and you're building an application that I really can see a great use for.
Thank you.
Maybe you can explain a bit better what that means. What is decentralized storage? Why is this an important application?
Sure. So decentralized data, we're actually building a decentralized database. So decentralized storage is actually, I believe it's a much broader category of services. That could include file storage, it could include database storage. So Bluzelle is focusing on the database storage aspect, and what we're building here therefore is a decentralized key value store that allows really any kind of application to store data with us. Our initial target market is dApps. dApps are already decentralized. They have the pain point where they need to store data. They don't want to store it to a blockchain for many reasons. They also don't want to store it to a centralized data store like on a cloud server for obvious reasons. They want to keep things decentralized. So that's where we come in, where they can use Bluzelle's database and have a structured, mutable database, but at the same time it is decentralized as they want it to be.
I see. So dApps would just be able to plug into your system and interact with it then and store data, if I understand that correctly?
Exactly, yes. We released Lovelace, which is the first version of our database at the end of June, so just this past week. Mm-hmm. And we already have support for smart contracts. So if you're writing smart contracts in Ethereum or in Neo, you can use our database right now out of the box. We have an API. It's quite simple to do that. So in fact, we had an event, a launch event in Singapore just 3 days ago, and one of the examples I had was an Ethereum application that could talk to our database.
Interesting. So you say you have a decentralized database solution. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how do you ensure the integrity of data, that the data doesn't get lost? I imagine you must have some sort of incentives built into the system to ensure that.
Absolutely. So it's decentralized, and by that nature, we're not a company running the nodes. The nodes are actually run by people. In fact, one of the catchphrases we have is "You are the database." You being members of the public. So when you run a node, you're a farmer. You're providing resources to the network, and in return for running providing those resources, you earn Bluzelle tokens, which is our native token for our database. So you're incentivized to behave properly, because if you misbehave by, say, cheating, dropping data, or forging any data, you can lose tokens. There's a karma system. There's a staking model to ensure that proper behavior is enforced economically. Going to your question about ensuring the security of the data, we have a swarming methodology, and it's actually meta-swarming. And what I mean by that is we have a swarm of swarms. So your data actually gets sharded into fragments and gets stored to different swarms. And within each swarm, all the nodes on that swarm replicate your data. So for example, if you look at one swarm, if a bunch of nodes go down for whatever reason, most of the nodes are still going to be up. That's just probability, which means your data is always going to be there. If anybody were to breach a certain swarm and steal the data in that swarm, in the unlikely event that happened, only the data that's sharded to that swarm would be breached. If you understand that your data was chopped up in 1,000 pieces, they're getting 0.1% of your data, which more or less has no purpose to them.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense. So, that's also a value proposition for your token then, that the supply will be locked up essentially. Are there other mechanisms as well that create value for your token?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that we're moving towards now that the database is kind of established and people know about it, is moving away from focus on just the infrastructure, which is the database, to the data economy. So I'll talk a little bit here about what the data economy is. The data economy is about treating data itself like a currency. So for all this, we all think of Bitcoin and Ether as a currency already. It's a cryptocurrency. We have a crypto wallet. What Bluzelle is introducing in the next phase is the data wallet, where your personal data is now treated like a currency that you control. And if you want to sign up for a social network that's enabled for this sort of mechanism, that social network has to actually request access to your data, and they're basically using your data on the fly. Now, if you want to be forgotten, you click on a button in your data wallet, and the right to be forgotten is enforced by the data wallet. If you want to be forgotten by everyone and you just want to wipe your any trace of your information off the internet, you can do that too. So your data wallet is your place to go. And the data wallet itself is a mechanism we're building into the Bluzelle database so that multiple data wallets out there can all be built on top of this API, and they can compete with each other to provide value add. So that's a part of the data economy. We're also adding syndication. So if you, for example, want to publish a bunch of GPS data, you could put it on there onto a marketplace, and other companies could actually license your data. And then you'll earn Bluzelle tokens for that. So that's part of the velocity of the token. The token gets used for staking to ensure good behavior. It gets used for paying resources to farmers. It's also used to pay money to the data wallet providers, but it's also there for syndication purposes.
So if you're paying farmers, is there an inflation within the system, or it all comes from the people that are renting the space essentially?
Inflation, you mean?
Yeah.
So you mean like basically, well, I mean, the token is there to regulate the prices. So part of the purpose we have there is to make sure that the supply and demand stay in sync. Now, if all of a sudden, you have, I don't know, too many farmers and the prices of these services on the database start to go down because there's too much supply, what's going to happen is farmers are going to be like, well, let me go mine Monero. Why should I use this network? And then obviously the flip side, if the prices start to go up too high, I think that's what you're talking about. Then all of a sudden the farmers are going to be like, wait a minute, why should I use Monero or mine Bitcoin or Ethereum? Let me devote my resources to Bluzelle, and supply will bring the prices back.
That makes sense. I mean, these systems are self-balancing in a way.
That's the theory. It's a microeconomics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh, that's very interesting. So it's sharded. How many? What kind of redundancy are we talking here? If I were to use this network?
Well, so we haven't actually built to the Metaswarm yet. Lovelace, which was a release we just came out with, is a single swarm model. So the Metaswarm will be coming in the future.
I see.
But to answer your question, it really depends on the number of swarms. The number of swarms depends on the number of farmers that we bring to the network. We don't want to, it's an interesting question. We don't want to have too many nodes in a single swarm because it's actually wasteful. Like, what's the point of having 10,000 nodes in a swarm if you only need 100 to achieve effective redundancy? So as we get more and more nodes, we'll actually add more and more swarms, and your redundancy will increase as the swarms increase, because you're basically putting your eggs in multiple baskets is what you're doing.
Yeah, I could definitely see growth there in the way that can be developed actually. So that's very interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. So could you see something like Dropbox, for instance, maybe plugging into this, just as a wild example?
I guess I could. I mean, Dropbox to me is a file storage mechanism. In terms of if they want to provide some sort of value add ability to store data decentralized, I see them doing this. I would see also more partnerships with other companies that are building decentralized services. I look at something like the decentralized web stack. So you have file storage, you have CPU processing, you maybe have web infrastructure, and you need database. So I would see companies that have complementary technologies wanting to have that missing piece, that tier in the web stack, which is us, collaborating.
So that makes a lot of sense, since it's very expensive to store data on a blockchain directly, of course.
Absolutely, and our database is mutable. That's a key point, which is different. Blockchains are basically immutable, which is a real problem, especially now with GDPR that came out in May, and the fact that you need to adhere to privacy laws. I mean, you can't remove data from a blockchain. So you need to really think about that strategy when you're architecting a system.
And this is what you were mentioning before about the right to be forgotten.
Yeah, well, it ties into it, the right to be forgotten. I mean, with Bluzelle, when you click on the right to be forgotten, your data is not just flagged as hidden, it's gone. It's literally wiped off the network.
I mean, I see this is the best of both worlds. You have a immutable blockchain where you can put a hash and some sort of proof, and at the same time you can have another decentralized network that provides the storage. So that's it's very interesting.
There's nothing specifically immutable but decentralized technology. So I mean, Bitcoin was the first kind of major breakthrough, and we're used to the fact that the Bitcoin network is immutable. But the fact is, you can have a fully immutable decentralized network, which does give you the benefit of adhering to laws, but you still have all the scalability and redundancy benefits of blockchain.
Very interesting. So how long have you been working on this project for?
I've been working on it now since the beginning or mid of last year. Bluzelle itself started in 2014 in Canada.
I see.
And we were building payment systems with Ripple, as most of us know about Ripple.
Yeah.
And we were also building enterprise software solutions on top of blockchain. So what actually led to the genesis of the Bluzelle database was we were building a KYC product for 3 banks in Southeast Asia, HSBC, MUFG, and OCBC. And that's where the pain points started to come up that, well, you know, blockchains are good, but you need to have a data storage, a database storage, which is not blockchain, that gives you that speed and performance that you need.
That makes a lot of sense. How long do you think until it's going to be ready for people to use, for businesses to use?
You know, right now we already have a test net up. It came up at the end of the last month, so I'd like to say that it's available right now. I mean, it's obviously not a production, it's still a test net, but we've got collaborations with companies that are already looking to integrate it. They're trying to build proof of concepts. So really the short answer is you can go use it right now.
Interesting. Well, that was very interesting. I really enjoyed talking to you here. And
Thank you.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.